Thanks for tuning in to The Real Deal Show, brought to you by ebodyboarding.com and Tribe Boards. Hey folks, Jay Reale back at you with The Real Deal Show. Yet again, we're into a three-parter with JP Patterson. There's so many stories to tell. We have told many if you've seen part 1 and 2. If you haven't, you want to check those out on YouTube or the audio podcast. There's so much good stuff here, man. And last week in part 2, we talked about JP's encounter with one of the biggest days ever at Waimea back in those days, 1985, and his insane story of getting caught inside on a closeout set at Waimea. As we pick up the story from last week, you're getting washed into the shore break towards Jump Rock, which is the worst possible place to be. A helicopter has come in and plucked the other, I'll call them survivors because you guys really were survivors. They've plucked them out of the water with a basket hanging from a rope from the chopper, put them on the beach, but you're still out there. So what's happening now?
So I'm still out there. Mark Foo's still out there somewhere as well on the outside. And so I let go of my board. I couldn't hang on to it anymore. The sets were just closing on. I'm trying to duck dive, and I can't. And I just can't hang on anymore because every time you get hit by a giant wave, you just get spun around. And so I let the board go, thinking I could just swim under more easily. And so I swam under one wave, and boom, the basket drops right next to me. Quick as a bunny, I'm in the basket. And I remember I look up, or I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, let's go. And another wave is, a mountain of whitewater's coming at me.
Oh no! And you're hanging in the basket.
And I'm sitting in the they have floats on it, so the basket floats. I'm sitting in there. I'm like, let's go. And I look up, and the guy's looking out the window, and I'm like, and he goes, I hear it rev up, and he goes, boing, and I woo,
instantly out of danger.
And
what a relief.
Go up, and the white water rolls underneath me, and they take me over, they drop me off, and then at that time, Mark Foo, they went back out to get Mark Foo, and Mark Foo, another set was coming in, and he paddled into it, and there's a great shot of him. He's on his tippy toes, dropping into this wave. He's got a 3-stringer board, a Lundy, and his shaper was Lundy, and he's like this, fully extended. His board, he's in perfect position, but his board's off the water by like 6 feet. Oh my gosh. And so board lands, he goes right through his board.
Oh!
Loses his watch, breaks the board in half, jumps in the basket, they pull him in, and the picture in the newspaper the next morning, so the picture's like this. Coming out of the top is a rope. You can't see the helicopter. Rope from the helicopter's here, basket, and then a real long leash with half a board.
Oh my God!
And then down below it had a caption of it had all our names and what was going down and stuff like that.
Yeah. So multiple articles. About that.
We got back to the beach, and it was getting late. A lot of people were leaving because that wave had gone way up into the parking lot, and actually somebody told me it sent like about a 3-foot face wave up Waimea River. Yeah, under the bridge and everything.
Wow.
And so I went over to Foodland, bought a case of beer, and took it back and gave it to the boys at the tower.
Nice.
And you got to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Wow.
But yeah, so here we go. The moral of the story. So I get home that night. I was tired. I was worn out, and so I just went to bed. And I would always take my bodyboard out of my truck, put it in my closet. I was living in a converted. Did you ever come to my converted garage on the North Shore?
No, I saw pictures of it.
It was a bitchin' place.
Yeah.
But it was a 1-car garage that they had turned into a bedroom. And so I always put my board in the closet to keep it safe. And I got up the next morning, and I'm like, I live so close, I could hear the waves. And I used to play a game. I'd lay in bed, and before I looked at the waves, I'd try to guess how big the waves were. And I'm laying there, and I'm going, wow, waves are big again today. And I started thinking, I go, holy shit. did that really happen? And I get up, I sit on the bed like this, and I look, and my board, I didn't put my board away, I just leaned it up against the sink, and my fins were there and everything, and then I remember just dropping everything and running through the shower and going to bed.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that really happened. Then my phone rings, and Brian Bielman, you know Brian.
Yes, photographer from back in those days.
Yeah, so he calls me up, and he goes, hey, you okay? And I go, yeah. He goes, hey, we're going to go get breakfast. He goes, we want to hear your story. Let's go. And so we go into Cafe Haleiwa, and they bought me they gave me a free breakfast because I was one of the 4, and it was so
the cafe did?
Yeah.
The Campbell, Duncan Campbell, didn't he run that place?
Yeah, that's right. And who else was in there? I think James Jones was in there. And they said, hey, give him free, I'll give you a free breakfast. And Brian Bielman goes, well, what about JP? He was out there too. And, oh yeah, JP, I didn't see you. You get a free breakfast too. So yeah. Anyway, so I tell him the whole story, and but he said that when he got home, there was another Japanese photographer used to stay at Brian's house, Masahiko Yoshioka.
Yeah.
And so Masahiko, he goes, we walk in the door, and because they went into town, to buy records or do whatever, just go see a movie because they didn't think anything was going on because the waves are so big. And it was kind of stormy. Anyway, they get home, and Masahiko's like, giant Waimea helicopter, GP had to rescue tsunami, and he said Masahiko, calm down, and so they didn't really get the full story because he was so excited and stuff. So,
wow.
But I got home, and remember I told you my mom had. I remember my mom saying, "Don't go too far out."
Yes.
So I get home from breakfast. I got a message on my phone on my recorder. This is back in the day when people would call, and there was a recorder, and you had a minute to leave a message.
Can you believe it?
And then when people got home, they would push the button and listen to the message.
Making fun of you, millennials.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So anyway, back in the day, so here comes my mom. Johnny, this is your mom. Call me. Well, my mom, usually when she called, she'd go, oh, hey, this is how's it going, and she'd take up the whole minute and it would hang up on her before
so you knew you were in trouble.
So now I'm like, oh, man, what's going on?
Uh-oh.
So I call her up, and, hey, Mom, are you okay? What do you mean, am I okay? Well, you made the front page, and at that point, I didn't even know we had made the front page of the newspaper.
Wow.
I go, how'd you know? She goes, you're on the front page of the newspaper.
Wow.
So it was like, yeah.
Wow.
I go, I was thinking about you. Remember you used to tell me not to go too far out? And anyway.
All right. So
but
the Waimea story.
Yep.
Amazing.
But I remember I was telling a guy this at a party, a friend of mine over in Waimanalo, and he goes, JP, he goes, that's why, no more, too far out.
Now you're never too far out.
Never too far out.
Apparently.
There's no more too far out.
No such thing.
No such thing.
So,
and he's right,
Now let's kind of transfer that over to your days at the Wedge. So at some point in there, you moved back over to California.
Well, after that, I lived on the North Shore for a couple more months, and then I moved back to work again at Scott Hawaii.
Okay.
And was living over there, down.
Where were you living?
Carlsbad.
Okay.
Yeah, and Carlsbad, Oceanside. There was a couple spots I was renting rooms and doing my thing. But in that area, but I was driving the delivery truck for Scott Hawaii.
Okay.
So almost every afternoon, I'd load up the truck and drive to Jack's or drive down south or go all the way up to Val Surf up in North Hollywood.
Yeah.
And get stuck in traffic in L.A. back in the day when there was smog and stuff.
Yeah.
But because I did that, then on my way back down, I could surf the Wedge. So,
got it.
And you couldn't go out till 5 o'clock anyway. So.
And the Wedge was like the closest thing you could get to Hawaii over here.
Yeah, it had the power because it had the deep water just offshore.
And you would do the same thing. You'd sit way out the back, right?
Yeah.
And just wait for the bombs.
Oh,
and get them, by the way.
Yeah.
If you look back at any videos from the late 80s through the early 90s. JP's out there in his fluorescent gear.
Oh, yeah.
The Alita suits. And you had Airwaves boards, too.
Yep. That's back when I was making Airwaves.
Yeah.
Wayne Brown and I, Wayne owned Alita wetsuits like we talked about. And, and he and I, he came to me one day. He goes, hey, let's make bodyboards. So we rented a spot right on Main Street, 3 blocks up from the pier in Huntington Beach. And opened shop and started Airwaves bodyboards.
And you had quit Scott Hawaii at that point.
Yes.
To start your own gig, and you moved up to Orange County.
Yep.
So at that point, you got married to Vianne, and
86.
Travis came along.
Well, Travis was our ring bearer. Travis came first, then we got
it. Okay.
we needed a ring bearer, so we had the kids first.
Good planning.
You like that?
Very
it wasn't much of a plan. It kind of happened that way.
And eventually Keone came along.
Right,
so you have 2 boys. How old are your boys right now? Just to touch
you
on
asked
that.
the question. You asked the tough questions.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
So Keone was born in '87, and Travis was born in '80.
So he's 35, and
Travis will be 40, and Keone will be 36 this year.
36. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so you were surfing the wedge, you were making Airwaves boards, and the PSAA tour started up around 85, I think was the first event. And you were doing the events because the dream was still alive. Pro bodyboarder.
Yep.
You know, you've been doing it for 5 years. How did the tour go for you? I mean, did you do every event? Were you fully committed?
Well, no, I did every event. I was fully committed. And, went to Puerto Rico, went to, San Francisco, went to Imperial Beach, went to Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
Went to Palm Springs. Remember Palm Springs?
There's too many sidebar stories coming to mind here.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Not in the least of which is up there. Because you're a handyman, you can fix that.
So,
not in the least of which is, and I don't want to get into the sidebar on this one, but the Corpus Christi event, JP decided he'd save some money and drive his VW Bug to
1961
Texas.
VW
The rest of us
Bug.
flew there, and he drove his Bug, and it broke down in Arizona.
It didn't
JP?
break down. It made it.
It made it?
It just, it's not the fastest car in the world, and I did go through a huge thunderstorm.
And what happened when you got to Texas?
So so I was told by the PSAA that I was seeded into the main event.
Okay.
I was in the top 16.
Right.
Well, I had come in 17th the year before, but Dave Kniff had dropped out to be a lifeguard in Cancun or someplace.
You work for Club Med, yes.
Club Med
Cancun,
somewhere, and so he was off the tour. So I got bumped up. I took his spot. Little did I know, he came back to do the Corpus Christi event.
No.
Nobody told me this.
Moving you out of the seated
Bumping me
rounds,
out of the seated
which
round.
means you had to surf earlier.
Correct. So I got there.
You didn't know that.
I got there the afternoon before I was supposed to surf. And as I got out of my little Volkswagen Bug, walking across the sand, and somebody came by and goes, "Hey, you made it! Too bad you missed your heat."
Oh my God.
And I was like, that's not even funny. And so then I saw Pat Caldwell. And Pat's eyes fly open.
Oh, no.
And he's like, "JP, what happened? How come?" He goes, "Why weren't you here for your heat?"
Oh, no.
And
Just
now
drove
I'm
2
like,
days
what?
To get there.
Oh, no, it was like Memorial Day weekend or something. So I left on Friday. I drove all day Friday, all day Saturday. I think I got there like Sunday afternoon because I didn't have to surf till Monday. And so I walk up to the events tower, and the event director sees me, and he's like kind of confused, but he's talking to somebody else. So I let him go, and I didn't want to interrupt. And I look over at the heat sheets, and sure enough, there's my name with an NS next to it.
No.
No show.
Did you
Either no show or nutsack. I can't remember what that meant. So
which is what you felt like.
So I'm like, what? I'm fried at this point. I'm toast from driving, and I'm on the super tight budget because I got my wife's. We just had the baby.
Yeah.
We just had Keone. We're on a super tight budget. I'm driving.
Yep.
I slept on the side of a road truck stop sleeping bag on the side of the road in Texas. And anyway, so I'm just in this fried state of mind, and I look at the guy, and he goes, why weren't you here for your heat? I go, I'm seated. He goes, and he kind of like finally puts two things. Oh, he goes, oh, Dave Kniff came back.
Oh,
and I'm like, son of a gun.
Dave.
And so I'm just like, oh, I drove all the way there. I go, but the surf was crap anyway.
Yeah.
If you remember, the waves were chocolate milk, and they were like knee high, wind chop.
I do remember.
And it was horrible. So anyway, I'm walking back to my car furious, and I'm about ready to like, start chewing through, telephone poles or whatever.
Yeah.
And Mike Stewart comes up to me and he goes, JP, he goes, take it easy.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm at the hotel, I'm at the Holiday Inn. I got an extra bed, spend the night, get rested.
Yeah.
Go home tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. Very generous of you. But if I don't get out of here, someone's going to die.
Wow.
I was so...
So you turn around and...
I got in my car, and I'll never forget, I was walking, there was a row of porta potties.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm going to beat the crap out of this porta potty.
Oh, no.
And I got my fist all tensed up and everything. I was just going to punch it as hard as I could. And as I'm walking towards it, reality is like, good angel, bad angel on your shoulder. They're going, don't punch it. You're going to break your hand, and you're going to be stuck in Corpus Christi, or your hand's going to go straight through it. You're going to punch some poor guy in there on the taking a dump. You're going to punch him in the head. He's going to arrest you. You're still going to be stuck in Corpus Christi.
Oh my God!
So I
too good.
Get in my car, drive to the 7-Eleven, get on the phone, call my wife. This is back when you had payphones, so you had to put the dime in, a whole bunch of them, to call California because it's long distance. There's no such thing as long distance anymore.
Yeah.
And so she's like, just stay there. And I'm like, no. I go, I know they sell guns at 7-Elevens in Texas, it's not safe for me to stay here. So I drove all the way to Texas, spent 30 minutes on the beach, 20 minutes on the beach.
Didn't even touch the water.
Didn't touch the water. Turned around, drove all the way back.
Oh, that's insane.
Yep.
That's the definition of insanity.
So,
all right. So the Texas story was
a good
sidebar, but that was a full-on story.
That's some of the luck of my.
Yes. So you did the tour. How'd your success rate go on the tour?
Not so good. Being old school, I never really got into the El Rolo thing, and the judges got tired of the spin to win, the hand drag 360.
Yes.
Which was what I was famous for.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, your style, because, excuse me, we should have touched on this in the first part of this interview, but the wounded duck, as it was called, and is called, is where you basically have a kind of a reverse grip, and you...
It's not a reverse grip. Why does everybody call
it
a reverse?
Okay, so let's talk about that.
It's the proper grip.
You're the guy.
You guys are doing it backwards.
You're the guy who brought that to prominence. I mean, Pat Caldwell uses it. Other people kind of use it as sort of a novelty thing, but it was your thing. So, tell me about that.
Well, so it was. I still do Makapoo. So Makapoo,
the spot.
On the east side, and so Makapoo will jack up on the outside, and then it'll back off, and then it goes to the inside, and it jacks back up. So you have this flat area in between, and so if you scoot up way up on your nose, then you can glide through the, you plane across the flat spot.
Lift your feet out of the water.
Right. Yeah, you get as hydrodynamic as possible, keep your speed up, low to the ground or low to the water, and then you glide through. So that was kind of where it started. And then when you get to the shore break, since you're way up on the nose and you're going so fast, when it starts flying over, you kind of put one hand behind you like this to get out of the way so that your shoulder isn't crashing into the face of the wave.
Yep.
So it was kind of a way of streamlining.
It's like a pipo boarding technique, right?
Yeah. Which
precluded bodyboarding, pipo boarding, big over there. So you
kind of
learned to, basically rip with that style of riding. It became synonymous with your riding style, but it didn't lend itself well to, say, Rolos and aerial maneuvers.
It was literally impossible to do an El Rolo for me going left. I could do them going right, but I couldn't do them going left.
Okay.
And people were doing Rolos and multiple Rolos and, doing all the other stuff. And then you had like Danny Kim standing up.
Sure.
And
Keith dropping.
Everybody, doing other things where I think my style just got boring to the judges.
So at what point did you say, this isn't happening for me, I'm going to just focus on working
in
now?
The last season I served, I told myself if I didn't when it gets to the point where I go a full season without making the finals, then I'm going to seriously consider retiring, unless I really feel like I could come back.
Okay.
And in I guess it was 89 or 90, whatever the end of the season was, that's when I looked at it. I was just like, yeah, I'm I've got a family.
Yep.
I need a full-time job. I need to do this. I've got other things I'm interested in doing as well. And so that's kind of when I retired from pro riding.
So what did you move into from that point?
I did 10 years. 10 years
Yeah.
I did that.
Well, that's pretty good.
Actually, Fred Simpson of Viper Fins came to me at that time, and I've been riding Viper Fins for about 11 years.
And by the way, I'm going to link that Fred Simpson interview at the top of the screen here. So it's a two-parter.
Here?
Right
there.
Right here. And we're going to link that. So watch that one too.
So Fred came to me. I had been taking his long blades and trimming them down so they were more adaptable for bodyboarding, more functional for bodyboarding, faster kick, shorter blade.
Yep.
Cut down the the edges that were on the underside of the fin because they just added weight. They really didn't help a bodyboarder.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to me and he goes, I want you to partner up with me, and I'm going to invest some money, redesign the molds, and we'll use your design. And you'll be the sales rep. And actually, he made me VP of the company, sales and marketing. And I owned a portion. I was a 10% stockholder in Viper Fins and sales rep. And off we went. We started going around the country doing the trade shows and running up and down and going into shops and going, hey, Viper Fins. And they're just like, those are ugly and they're expensive. And so we came up with try them for 30 days. If they don't sell, you don't like them, we'll pick them up. We'll give you, we'll buy back or we'll just pick them up.
Yeah.
And basically consignment for 30 days.
That's good.
Not a forever consignment.
Sure, good way to introduce a product.
If you
no
like
risk.
them, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And try a dozen, see how they go. If they don't, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
And we opened up a lot of accounts that way. And, and we started really catching on, and then I got to be, I was working for Challenger Bodyboards. I was still sponsored by them, and I became sales manager for them when Dave Kniff went to Custom X.
Yep.
And so then I was working, I was going to Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, went back there 6 times.
Where their factory was, Foam Designs.
Sidebar.
I think. So
Can I call a sidebar?
You want to do sidebar?
So now I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. I'd been there for about 4 or 5 days. And I was at dinner on my own. Well, right across from the hotel they always put me up at was this Japanese restaurant, full-on teppanyaki, sushi bar, Japanese girls in geisha.
Wow.
The guy that got the contract for
the
the story goes that I heard
girls.
was the guy who got the glass contract for the new Toyota factory. Built this as a thank you to Toyota.
Yep.
So the Toyota executives would have some nice place to eat when they were visiting. And so, he hired Japanese. Oh, arigato gozaimasu. Yeah, you walk in.
Guaranteed they got paid bucks.
So I walk in, and there's being a couple other white people there, and a lot of Japanese from the Toyota plant. And I belly up to the sushi bar because I'm by myself.
Yep.
Very nice, distinguished Japanese gentleman here. Oh, hey, and the guy behind the counter, hey, hi. So how's it going? So I order up, hand it to the nice lady. She takes it over, and he comes back and he goes, you order maybe 36 pieces of sushi. I'm like, yeah, I'm hungry. And he goes, oh, okay. And he goes, and I got a Sapporo. And the tradition
Who's
is
paying for this? That's what
I
he's
was.
thinking. No, but that's what he's thinking.
Yo,
about.
yeah. So anyway,
Right.
I had the company credit card, so I'm
Got
good.
it.
So the tradition is you buy your sushi chef a beer.
Yeah.
So I had gotten a tall Sapporo.
Okay.
And I asked the lady, give him a beer, and she, talked to him, and he's, oh no, just get me a glass. So I filled up his glass, and banzai, we toasted and stuff like this. So we talked this and that. So why are you in Lexington, Kentucky? Sorry, I don't mean to sound racist, but that's how it went.
We're old school.
Anyway, I'm working for I work for a bodyboard company. Oh, boogie board, yeah, boogie board. And he goes, how you get job boogie board? I go, I used to be a pro boogie boarder. Over in Hawaii. Really? Hawaii? I used to be sushi chef for Benihana, Waikiki.
Oh man.
Oh, right on, cool. He goes,
I've eaten there.
He goes, so how you get from Hawaii to Kentucky? So I tell him the story and stuff like this. And he goes, finally he goes, what's your name? I go, JP. He goes, JP what? I go, JP Patterson. You JP Patterson? What? He goes off and he's starting to tell, and helicopter, tsunami,
no
Waimea
way.
Bay, and I'm just going, no way.
How's that? Followed
No
you
way.
all the way to Kentucky.
The nice gentleman next to me takes a sip of his whiskey, and he's looking at me like, what the hell? And so I go, you were there? He gets in with the story, and like everybody in the whole sushi bar now has heard it. People,
Heard the Waimea story.
the nice people over here. Well, it's all in Japanese, right?
That's awesome.
And some people are like clapping and stuff. I'm like, what the heck just happened? And a beer shows up. The guy next to me buys me a glass, whiskey, a double of whiskey.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden, we're bonsai, and now 11 o'clock at night, I stumble back to my room. So anyway, the guy, he was working there. His sister had come in. She was a bodyboarder over in Japan.
Oh wow.
She had come into town. He was giving her a tour. They stopped at Waimea Bay, saw the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
How
anyway,
bizarre.
how small is this world?
Yep. So you're working for Challenger Bodyboards.
Yep. Challenger Bodyboards.
And then
Foam
you're
design.
living up in Orange County. You were living in Orange
Huntington
County?
Beach.
Huntington Beach.
Yep.
And then what next? So you, at some point, started working for Mattel
Yes.
as the Maury team
Yes.
captain.
So I was actually in
Not team captain, but
on another.
basically the team manager.
Yeah. So on another trip back to Kentucky,
Yes.
I got a call from, I think it was Mike Stewart. I finally got a
Okay.
cell phone. We're in the modern age
yeah.
now. And I got a cell phone, and Mike Stewart calls me up, and, no, I take that back. Tony Panzica, the president of Foam Design, who I work for, he was like, oh yeah, did you hear that Mattel just bought Kranscoat? They bought Maury bodyboards. And my ears perked up, and I'm like, ooh, because I had never ridden for Maury, as you know.
Yeah.
Never worked for Maury.
Yeah.
They were kind of like my competition.
Sure.
So I get off the next day, I call Mike, and I go, Mike, what's going on? Because he was riding for Maury back then. And he goes, yeah, Mattel, he goes, I've been talking to him. He goes, they need help. They need someone on the inside. You should apply for a job. I'll back you on it.
Wow.
And so sure enough, I threw my application in. 6 months later, got a job at Mattel. Started the day before they went on vacation for Christmas.
Oh wow.
They take a 2-week vacation, so I started and then immediately went on vacation. Got paid.
Paid 2 weeks.
I started and took a 2-week vacation.
Now, it
paid.
should be noted that job was in El Segundo, which is up in
Yes,
LA,
sir.
and you had to commute
Right by the airport.
5 days a week
Yep.
from Orange County up to LAX area.
Yep.
Was that just a complete nightmare?
It was.
And you had to wear a tie and shirt?
Yes, sir.
Tie and shirt.
Thank you for
Mattel.
bringing all this stuff up.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But,
that's a big deal. I mean, that's a
yeah.
big sacrifice
So
for you, maybe, right?
When
at
I
that
got
point.
hired, they said you will be like this consultant you'll be a full time. You've got a job here, but you'll be consulting on sales, marketing, product design, team writers, the whole 9 yards, because you know it and we don't.
Yeah.
And so I'm like bitching, and
It's right up your alley.
so I come back the first day back to work, and there had been this giant layoff. They had pruned the branches at Mattel. 1,200 people had been let go in El Segundo.
No
in
way.
The facility.
And they just hired you.
And they just hired me. So I show up and I go through orientation in human resources, and the VP of human resources comes down and goes, okay, Jay, you go to accounting, and Billy, you go over here, and Wendell, you go that way, and Janie, you go over here, and JP, can you wait in my office? And so he comes in and he goes, you heard about the layoff? I say, yeah. I go, I'm going to have the shortest tenure ever in Mattel. And he goes, no. He goes, we need you. We still believe we need you. How do you feel about sales? And I go, well, I got a sales background. I've been doing sales. And he goes, okay. He goes, you now work for a guy named Milt Zablo. He's an executive VP, so he gets as much time off as he wants, and he will be calling you. And so I got on the phone with Milt, and he says, nice to meet you over the phone, and I'm your new boss. And he'd only been living in California for about 3 years. He was originally from New York, and we couldn't be from two different worlds.
Yeah, Milt Zablo.
Milt
sounds
Zablo.
like a New York guy.
Yeah, very nice Jewish man.
Yeah.
Not to sound racist or anything.
I told you, we're old school.
We got along great. But I got to throw. This is a great story. So anyway, he goes, well, what do you know about this Surf Expo thing? And I go, well, it's a trade show in Orlando. I've been there like 10, 12 times, and I know everybody who runs it. I know how, I've operated in there. I know all the accounts that are going to be showing up. He goes, okay, meet me there. He goes, I want you to run the sales meeting. And I go, well, I don't think I can run the sales meeting. I'm happy to contribute. And he goes, why can't you run the sales meeting? Well, I learned right then and there, you don't tell Milt no.
Oh, boy.
And so I go, sir, I don't know the product line. I don't know the price points. I don't know the program. I go, but I'll learn real fast. And because it was in like 10 days or something like that.
Wow.
And he goes, okay. And he goes, how you dig it? He goes, but start prepping now. Yes, sir. What do you know about this pipeline contest? There's contest, something going on in Hawaii. Well, I was in the first one back in 1980, and I've been in it, and I know everybody runs it, blah, blah, blah. He goes, okay, should somebody be there from the company to explain what's going down? I go, that's a good idea. He goes, could you do that? I go, yeah. Okay.
Of course.
So I started on a Monday. I was on a plane Wednesday to go to Hawaii. I spent, Tuesday I was on a plane to Hawaii.
Wow.
Spent Tuesday, Wednesday in Hawaii. Flew out Wednesday night to Orlando.
Oh, for the
landed in Orlando
Surf
for on Thursday. Surf Expo was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, Thursday afternoon they were having a sales meeting with all the sales rep, Terry Heavens, the crew back from the East Coast, all the guys.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about.
Rep groups back then.
Yeah. And big, for big accounts, Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, Sports Authority, big money.
Sure.
So even the Hawaii guy was there, Roger Kundal. Mm-hmm. And so he had flown in, and I was late for the meeting because the flight got delayed in Dallas. So I'm brushing my teeth in the car and changing shirts and stuff. I'm on the red eye. Get to the convention center, wash my face in the bathroom. I walk in, and since I knew the other reps, and they knew that, I guess they had announced that I was their new sales manager. I walk in, hey, JP! And hey, good, cool, good to see you. Shake hands like this. Milt Zablo, he's in like his Armani tux, not tux, but suit.
Designer suit, yeah.
Comes up. And I see him walking towards me. He buttons the button like this, and you must be JP. I have a seat right here for you. So I sit down, and Steve Moran was up there, and he's going through, or not, it wasn't Steve, it was the Frisbee guy. Remember?
Steve Schneider? Maybe?
Not Schneider.
Anyway, Steve Moran was a designer for Mattel and Maury boards.
Anyway, they had just finished the Maury section, and they were going through hacky sacks and hula hoops and all the other Whammo products.
Oh yeah, you're just like,
I'm trying to stay awake, and Milt's like this. And we take a break. Do you need a Coke? Do you need a coffee? No, I'm good. Go to the bathroom, splash water on my face, go back in. So now the meeting's kind of like, okay, everybody, thanks for coming, and this and that. And in the East Coast, gosh, what was the East Coast guy from New York? The office out there, kind of a short guy.
Well, there's Shapiro Schiffman was a rep group up there, but I can't remember who the rep was at that point. It doesn't matter.
But he steps up. Well, what about our commission? We haven't gotten paid our commission in months, and what's going to happen? Are we going to keep our territory? Are we going to still are the Mattel reps or the Mattel sales force going to take over our accounts? And and Milt's kind of like, and I
looking at you, and
well, he didn't even look at me, but I could tell that they were like shooting arrows at him. So I stand up and I go, hey, guys, okay? We're all in this together. We're not going to lose a penny in sales. Nobody's getting canned, and you're all going to get paid. Let us get through this whole transition. But you got to have a little bit of time. We're here for 3 days. We're going to meet with each one of you separately because everybody's got different questions. You know, a lot of you have the same question, but every territory is a little bit different. We'll get it figured out. We're not going to lose a penny in sales, okay? Oh, that's cool, you know, and everybody kind of calms down. They start filing out and stuff. Milt grabs him by the shirt, goes, step into my office, pulls me over to the corner of the room, and he goes, what the hell is that all about? And I go, well, I've known these guys for years, and I kind of have an idea of what, I'm the sales guy. I know what. He goes, you saved my ass in there. He goes, I go, no, you would have done the same. He goes, JP, he goes, you saved my ass from looking like a fool. He goes, I owe you. I go, you don't owe me nothing. He goes, I owe you. And I'm like, yes, sir, okay. He goes, where are you staying? He goes, never mind, you're staying with me. And he was at the Peabody, which is a big fancy hotel where Quicksilver and all the executives stay, and I know it's sold out. And so we go over there, and he goes, what are you doing for dinner? Never mind, you're having dinner with me. And this is the first time we met. I mean, we've known each other now for like an hour.
Yeah.
And so we get to the hotel. I need a room for this gentleman. No, we're sold out. He pulls out one of his business cards. He slides it across. He goes, may I speak to your supervisor, please? And so the guy comes back out and he goes, yeah, we just had a suite cancel. He goes, that'll be fine. So I get to this suite, and it's like, as big as your office area. And maybe even bigger. Beautiful view of Orlando, all of Orlando stretch up. I get on the phone with my wife. I go, you're not going to even believe this story.
You want to play the Jeffersons theme song.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on up. Right? So, yeah. Anyway, so we go to dinner, and then we go shopping because all he's got is suits. And you can't wear that at the trade show, know?
For sure.
We got him some Aloha shirts, and he wouldn't do
casual.
He wouldn't do the shorts, but he did get slacks, and we had we hit it off. We were a great team for a long time, and then I got transferred to marketing. Mary Lee Christensen, she had the office down in Oceanside. They were going to close that because they didn't need it. Yep. And they offered her a job up in El Segundo, but it was just too much for her to commute. Yeah, from Oceanside to El Segundo.
Ridiculous.
And so they offered me the job, and I jumped on it.
Yep.
And then I called you and said, we're not paying you enough. Get in here. We need a new contract.
So that is a good point to jump off because we have more stories ahead of JP's years at Mattel. We took a few trips together.
Oh, we had some great trips together.
So we're going to talk about a Western Australia trip.
I'm still
and
in
trip
therapy
to
from some of our
Peru. There's a lot to talk about. That'll be in part 4. This is the first 4-parter. I think we've only done 2-parters before, but this is worthy of a 4th-parter. So we're going to cut this one off at this point, folks. Thank you for watching The Real Deal Show.
Thank
YouTube. Subscribe, give us the thumbs up, throw down some comments. Thanks for listening.
Don't forget that thumbs up.
Podcast. And we will resume this in part 4 coming soon. Thanks, folks, and we will see you in the surf.